Welcome back. Today we'll continue the platform training, this time looking at the campaigns, different types of campaigns in Talkable, and the user journey. What are your advocates? What are the friends? What are they going to see? So let's go ahead and hop in. First, how do we get here to looking at the campaigns? Pretty simple. You click on campaigns up here at the top. This will then show you all of the campaigns that you have in your Talkable account. So that could be your live campaigns. These are the ones that are live on site. The test campaigns, these are ones that are kind of like in build mode, right, in progress. And then, of course, the disabled campaigns. So these ones are the ones that have been deactivated. They were once live, then after they've been moved down here into this disabled status. You can see that this particular program has four of the main placements, four of these main campaign types. We've got the post-purchase. That's the campaign that pops up after someone places an order on your site. So, like, for example, they make a purchase. Thank you for making a purchase. Boom, up pops this post-purchase pop-up asking them, hey, would you like to get $20 off your next purchase by giving a friend $20 off their first purchase? And then they can share. This one's pretty standard. I would say that most programs have a post-purchase pop-up. Then we've got the floating widget. This one's public facing. This one is like a little button that you have on your site, and when clicked will trigger overlay, a modal that shows on the screen for someone to sign up and share. The little button can be customized, so what it says, what it looks like, where it is, it can all be changed by you. But by default, it may look something like this. Right. Oops. So that's the floating widget. Then we've got the standalone and the dashboard campaigns. So the standalone campaign is kind of like an on-site landing page. It gives you somewhere to point your customers or people on your mailing list or your site visitors to a page about the referral program. From there, they sign up and share. So most brands will include this in their, for example, email strategy, like transactional emails with a little banner that calls out the referral program, or potentially a dedicated email in the post-purchase flow. At the same point in time, you would want to ask a customer for a review. That's a great time to ask them to refer your brand. Or social posts would point here. Links on site would point here. You get the idea. Here's an example of one. By default, on Shopify stores, it'll be on /pages/share, but the page it lives on is entirely up to you. Essentially, you host the page, you put a div on there, and Talkable will inject this standalone campaign there. Most programs also have a standalone page. Lastly, we've got the dashboard. This particular one is somewhat similar to the standalone in theory, but usually it lives behind some sort of authentication, like in an account section, for example. Let's see if we can find an example of this to look at here on Shimmy Shine. Here we are. So a dashboard is essentially a place for your advocates to keep track of their shares. Who have they shared with? How many rewards have they earned? And if it is behind an authentication wall, it will skip this sign up step and show them something like this, injected where you want it. So those are your four main campaign types, your four main campaign placements. Let's go ahead and hop into one, take a look at what it looks like inside the campaign, the dashboard, the rules. We'll look at the editor, and then of course walk through the user journey. So here's the inside of a campaign. If you clicked on one of those links, it would take you here to kind of an overview of the campaign. You can see a little mini version of the funnel, particularly just for this standalone campaign, how many impressions, shares, etc. You can also see your incentives. So what is your advocate incentive? 20% off. What's your friend incentive? 20% off. Any associated rules? Same thing here. And of course, they can be edited. Where does it live? These things can be changed right here in the Rules tab. We have a whole other video that goes through this, so I won't spend a lot of time in here. But this is where you'd be able to, for example, change this from 20% off to $20 if you wanted, and you just have to change the coupon list that's pointing to editing that incentive. This is also where you can schedule the campaign to expire. If you wanted to turn this off and schedule another one that you're building in test mode to go live, you would set that one to launch at a certain time after this one expires. So those are the rules. Here in the preview, we'll go through the user journey. And I think that'll help give some context before we look at the editor. A little peek behind the curtain of how to actually change things on this page. So first step is the sign up page. The only times this isn't going to show is if either A, someone is going to a dashboard behind a login, so we already know who they are because they're logged in. B, it's a post-purchase pop-up. That particular campaign doesn't have a sign-up page because they've entered their email right there at the time that they're purchasing. So we already know who this person is just from the purchase data. Or lastly, C, where they're cookied. Maybe someone's already done this step. They've left. They come back on another day, but they're cookied. We won't make them sign up again. We know who they are already. In which case, they'll see the share page. So from the share page, an advocate simply chooses from one of the sharing channels. Say they want to share via email, share to a wall on Facebook, share via link, for example. And that's everything that the advocate is going to do for now. Right? We want to just try and incentivize them with what they've seen on the sign up page and the share page to share. So that's going to be mainly your offer, what's in it for me, get 20% off, the ways of sharing, even down to your imagery can affect whether or not someone's going to share. At that point, they've shared, let's say it's a Facebook post, or it could be an email, or most programs will have a reminder email as well by default, sent 3 days after if this first email isn't clicked. And if any of those or that unique link that had been copied, because that's really what's hyperlinked here, if any of those are clicked, then we begin this friend experience. So the friend clicking on a link is going to be coming to your site and seeing what we call the claim page. It's an email gating step where we're asking them, who are you, pretty much. And in the background, this is where we're going to be running some of those fraud checks for the for the friend. So, we'll have them enter their email, get my discount. As long as they pass those fraud checks, they're not an existing customer, so they've passed all the rules. And then we'll show them their coupon code. They can click to copy and go shop. Hopefully they convert. However, there are different versions of this claim page that can be shown. So if the link is expired, or if the campaign is expired, we can show this screen. If they've entered their email, but it's one that we know is someone who's already purchased before, sorry, for first-time customers only. Or lastly, if one of those fraud settings was triggered, maybe it's matching cookie, or email is the person who just shared. Maybe it's matching IP address and user agent, meaning they're on the same, internet connection and using the same device. That's probably the same person. We'll show them something like this. Sorry, can't use it on your own purchase. But assuming that they did get the coupon code and they do convert, after the pending period, and assuming that the referral passes all of the advocate fraud settings as well, that would trigger the advocate reward paid email. Something like this, which is essentially just communicating to the advocate, hey, thanks for bringing in your friend. Here's that offer that we promised you. Here's your 20% off coupon code. And that's the whole journey. At that point, the loop has been closed, and hopefully you get that friend to share, and potentially this advocate who's now earned a reward to share again. And it'll multiply from there. So that's the user journey. If you wanted to edit any of these screens in the user journey, it's pretty easy to do here in the campaign section, just by going to Editor. And now that you know all of the steps, this will be pretty easy. Essentially, you choose which of the screens in the flow that you want to edit. So let's say we want to edit the share page. And you'll see here on the left-hand side, it's what we can change, and on the right, you see a little preview. So for example, maybe we wanted to change the color of the email button. Maybe we wanted to edit the image. We could do that. Or we could change any of the copy. Maybe we wanted to edit what this description says here, or potentially the header, or even the layout of the page. Right, what do the buttons look like? Rounded, squared? What kind of share channels do we have? Enable or disable them? Or even something like the layout of the page. Right now, all of the sharing channels are equally emphasized. But if we see that, for example, email is performing much better, maybe we want to even create an A/B test right here from the Easy Editor. Create new. And try and encourage that email sharing by doing an email emphasis layout. So something that might look like this, for example. So if we wanted to, there's your variant A, variant B. How do we want to split them up? Usually 50-50. What campaigns do we want it to apply to? And then hit Save A/B Test. That would actually launch that A/B test, so you can see the A/B test tile on the dashboard. But we won't do that right now. And that's about it. So that's the user journey. That's everything here in the campaign section. How you can change the rules, change the screens, take a look at the campaign's details. But if you have any questions about these campaigns, or you want to launch a new campaign, of course, feel free to reach out to us. You can always reach out to our support team at platform@dockable.com. We're happy to help. Up next, we'll be looking at reports.